All right, everybody. A very unhappy Wednesday to all of you. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio. Um, Here on this rainy, well, kind of on and off, rainy thunderstorm. Been real hot and humid here the last couple of days, so always kicks off a lot of crap in this area. I think I've told you guys a few different times. we we sit in an area that'll get its fair share of tornado warnings and all of that kind of hell. Usually just spring and fall, but sometimes in between too. So I hope everybody out there is doing all right as we close out this. For most of us, the either first or second day of this week's very short hostage situation, and we look forward to tomorrow, which is as we call it every week, Friday Eve. All right. Um, Hopefully, finishing up the week strong and getting back into. I tell you, whoever came up with the idea that there should be a 5-day work week and only 2 days off, I'd like to slap him in the face with a shit-filled sock because this whole thing doesn't work for me. Um, I don't know how well it works for the rest of you, but it kind of annoys the crap out of me sometimes, especially after a long weekend. Um, when you got the kids and everything. I get to the end of that long weekend where I've spent a whole lot of time with the fam, and it's really hard to go back to work the next day. You got to do it. I mean, there's no crying in baseball, right? So you get up and you go off to work, but it's like, what the hell? So we just kind of want to finish out the week, get into another weekend, and then get uh get back to normal next week. Like normal as we're supposed to be. 5 days of work, 2 days off. 5 days of work, 2 days off. But that does get us closer to, excuse me, our the family trip in a couple of weeks. We leave 2 weeks from tomorrow for Milwaukee. We'll drive up. We probably leave here. I would guess around 12:30 ish on that Thursday, and we'll head up to Milwaukee, check into the hotel, kind of chill for the night, and then Friday we'll get up and go sightsee all day. Saturday we're gonna get up and drive down to Chicago, 2 hours south of Milwaukee. Boys and I are gonna check out a White Sox game. It'll be the second visit to the South Side Ballpark for my oldest and I. It'll be the first visit for my youngest son. Um, so we'll be there for a few hours, and then we're going to turn around, drive right back up to Milwaukee. And that evening, the boys and I have tickets to the Brewers game that night. Once again, second trip for my oldest and I, but first for Liam, for my middle. Um, so we're going to get some stadiums knocked off of his list. After that trip, Liam will be caught back up with his brother as far as stadiums seen, all except for Yankee Stadium. I was able to bring Grady to Yankee Stadium back in 2010. I believe it was 2010. Yeah, it was when the old man passed away. We came back to town, and I brought my oldest with me. He was only 3.5 at the time, but we had the newborn here, and my wife was still kind of healing up. So I brought Grady back with me. Not exactly a spectacular trip, being a funeral and all, but I was able to get him to Yankee Stadium during that trip too. So he doesn't remember it. So at some point we'll be going back there. But after the trip to Milwaukee and Chicago in a couple of weeks, Liam will be caught up with his brother Grady with everything except for Yankee Stadium. They've still got a few to get close to me. I actually was able to go to the ballpark in Arlington back in 2015 when I was down in Texas for work. Spent most of my summer of 15 working in Dallas, Texas. Would go down for 2 weeks, come home for a weekend, back and forth, so on and so forth. And I've also been to Fenway and Old Shea Stadium before they closed it up in Open City Field. So they've got a little bit to catch up with, but that's about it. Let's jump over here. Lou, how we doing, bud? Hope your week's going all right. Keenan, why is Friday so far from there? Let me put this up there. Keenan over here on YouTube. Why is Friday so far from Monday and Monday so close to Friday? who's the butt wipe who came up with that deal. Dude, I am on your side. This whole 5 days on, 2 days off thing is total bullshit. Yeah, I'm not a fan. So you saw me advertise over the last couple of days, like yesterday and then today about, some things that are getting under my skin. I thought I'd ease into it. I was going to start tonight off talking about some possible places that Baker Mayfield could be traded to. Now, I'm sure by now all of you know he's been traded to the Panthers, and we'll go over the details of that in a couple of minutes. My thought, it sounded like they were having trouble getting a partner, and I think it was probably a Cleveland thing. They wanted more than they were ever going to get for Baker. I'm not going to talk about Deshaun Watson tonight. I'm tired of him. Baker's the story today. So, yeah, I think Cleveland was just like holding out hope that they would get more for Baker than what they ended up getting. They had no leverage at all. We all know it. Once they traded for Watson and then signed Watson in that huge deal, regardless of all the legality stuff and all the nasty things that Watson's been doing, the Browns had no leverage with Baker. So they end up trading him to the Panthers today for a conditional pick in 2024. It'll be a 4th or a 5th round pick, and it'll depend on Baker's playing time. And I'm just giving you what I know as of right now. This will evolve. You'll get more details. But so it's kind of just like the Carson Wentz deal for us a couple of years ago with Indianapolis, where I think the terms of that deal were if Wentz played 70% of the snaps, 75% of the snaps, it became a number 1 pick. If he played 70% and they made the playoffs, it became a number 1 pick. Now they fell short of the playoffs, but he did play, over 75% of the offensive snaps for the Colts that year. So the Eagles pick from that trade turned into a number 1, or another number 1, I should say. This will be the same kind of thing with Baker being traded to the Panthers. The Panthers will give the Browns a 5th round pick, or there will be some sort of percentage of snaps taken or whatever for Baker that would turn it into a 4th round pick. Keep in mind, guys and girls, this trade, just to give you an idea of how little leverage the Browns had, Baker was the number 1 overall pick in 2018. Now, you can say he shouldn't have been. I don't think they should have taken him number 1. But the bottom line is they did, and he was the number 1 pick. And now they just traded him for a pick that might be a 4th rounder 2 years from now. Not only that, the other terms of the trade. So the Panthers are only going to pay $4.85 million of his salary, of Baker's salary this year. That has the Browns still eating $10.5 million. So the former number 1 pick in the 2018 draft by the Browns gets traded to the Carolina Panthers, and the Browns might get a 4th round pick. They're only guaranteed a 5th round pick, and they have to pay $10.5 million of Baker's salary. You want to talk about lack of leverage? Yeah, right. Very good, Lou. That's not ideal, Haslam. Yeah, no doubt. That's just piss poor. So it's just lack of leverage, like I talked about a minute ago. If they and I don't blame anyone. Like the Panthers could have said, "Look, here's the deal: take it or leave it." We'll suffer with Darnold for another season. We'll talk about that in a second too. Not too much into detail with that, but still. Also, along with the deal, so Baker has agreed to convert the other $18.8 million on his contract. He agreed to convert that to incentives, which he can earn back based on the Carolina team performance. That's a pretty bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see how it works out for him. The Panthers stink. And I'm not sure that look, I don't think Baker is the savior of the Carolina Panthers. Is he an NFL starter? Yeah, he's an NFL starter. But that team needs a whole lot more help than just Baker Mayfield. Not the least of which is, if they can't keep McCaffrey on the field at all, and if he's not out there, I mean, it's just gonna be Baker. So we'll see. But again, so Baker's going to that was to facilitate the deal, obviously, right? So he's converting 18.8 million of that salary to incentives based on team performance. It For Baker's sake, I hope he was smart enough to negotiate, you know, a low expectations on that team performance. Not that they're in a great division, and not that the NFC is a great conference, but the Panthers are pretty bad. Let's not act like the NFC was the juggernaut last year either, and they still managed to go 5-12. And the NFC South in particular, Atlanta's bad. The Saints are, Tampa's the only one you have to contend with, right? So they're not going to contend. Let me jump back over here. Fito, yo, I'm back. What's up, brother? How we living tonight? Best fourth weekend ever. Yeah, well, we had a good time here. We didn't do a whole lot, but we did have a good time. So I've got this thing popped up on my screen that's blocking me from being able to take that down. So we'll just leave that up for a minute. Yeah, 4th of July weekend was cool, man. The weather here was fantastic. It was hot, but it wasn't real humid, so we got to enjoy the pool a bunch. It wasn't sweltering outside. We had a good time. Sounds like you had a great time there too, so I'm happy for that. Yeah, and if anybody wants to chime in on what they did over the weekend or whatever, be my guest. I'll read them off. I'll put them up on the screen. Ours was your basic. From our backyard, we can see some of the local fireworks, and the neighborhood folks do a lot of stuff. So I wasn't going to go crazy trying to get somewhere to see the fireworks. There's a couple places you can go around here, but it's just such a zoo. And it's a billion freaking people, and the 3 kids, and I'm like, eh. And they're fine with it, sitting in the backyard, just sit in the pool and watch the fireworks. If we were going to do that, we did that last year. But we were able to see a lot right from the backyard, so it was a fun holiday for us, just being home. Kids did their lemonade stand, and Grady and I went and cut grass Friday night. So yeah, I think the kids have earned a total between the cutting the grass, a couple of car washes, and a bunch of cookies and lemonade. They have earned $180 so far. So, and we still got 2 weeks to go before we head to Milwaukee. So they've covered at this point admission to the Discovery World place that we're going to go to that Friday, and probably the Bobblehead Museum, and possibly the Harley Davidson Museum as well. Just from selling cookies and lemonade and washing a couple of cars and cutting some grass. So they're doing really well. I'm really proud of them. I know a lot of you have seen the pictures. Some of you have commented and everything, and I appreciate it. But they're doing well with it. They do get a little whiny if it's hot out there and they don't get a customer for they're out there for 20 minutes and nobody comes down the street. They get a little, oh, maybe we should pack it up. You got to kind of let it, you got to give it a chance here, guys. It's not like we're some, big storefront here. It's just a driveway with a folding table. Hey, I was out there on the 4th with my hat, with the glasses, with the jersey, trying my best to flag people down. By the time the middle of the afternoon comes, and certainly early evening comes on the 4th of July, anybody, not too many people out, right? Everybody's kind of at where they're going to be for at least the next, several hours after that. So the opportunity to sell that stuff really comes down. But anyway, squirrel went down a rabbit hole with that. Thanks, Vito. Where are you here? Oh, Bastion Lake, fireworks, whiskey, and beer. America. Attaboy. Lou, I had to work the 4th. I had to work the 4th. Let me rephrase that. I had to be there. Oh boy. Yeah. Team Gilmore ramping up for a road trip. You got it. And I'm hoping to take some extra pictures and video and stuff and be able to put that up on Facebook, or I did create a YouTube page, and strictly for unhappy Gilmore, and I have done absolutely nothing with it. So I'm totally the slacker there. But at least on the Facebook page, I'm going to try to get some videos and pics up of the trip. We should have a good time, especially that bobblehead museum sounds like a lot of fun. Excuse me. And then of course the two ball games at two different ballparks in one day. That should be a fun time too. But we were talking Baker Mayfield before we went down the rabbit hole. 4th of July weekend. Where were we? Facilitated the deal by converting a bunch of salary. And it's all pending a physical, obviously, as every deal is. So he's still got to go through that. So the 2018 NFL draft, Baker goes number 1 overall. It was a reach, if you ask me, but the Browns said that was their guy, so that was who they took. Sam Darnold went 3rd to the Jets, if you guys remember that disaster. I think his first NFL pass was a pick 6 against Detroit. I think it was Detroit. And now both of these guys have been moved out of their original teams for different reasons, okay? Darnold was bad with the Jets. Granted, it's the Jets. I think you've heard Quimby, over and over again about how terrible the ownership is there. Well, it's not like the ownership is great in Cleveland either, but, Baker, it's not like Baker lit the world on fire. But he was the quarterback there for the most amount of success that franchise has had in, what is it, 30, 35 years? And his reward for that was they bring in Watson and basically, just ship him off for peanuts. So now these two guys who were the number 1 and number 3 picks in the 2018 draft are now going to compete in Carolina for the starting job of a team that went 5-12 last year. To me, that seems pretty wow. I mean, there's something to be made of the 16 quarterback draft with Wentz and Goff, where when Wentz, we all know the story. Jesus, frog in my throat tonight. Sorry, guys. We all know the story. Flying high in his second year in 2017, well on his way to an MVP season, blows the knee in a game against Goff. Foles comes in, takes over, and the rest is history. And then moves on to Fito. Don't jump the gun. We're gonna get there, bud. I'm not gonna put that comment up, but you know what I'm talking about. We're gonna get there. So, and then Goff, makes a Super Bowl, and that Super Bowl against the Patriots, probably the worst Super Bowl I have ever watched. I'm pretty sure I fell asleep for a good portion of it. That was absolutely atrocious. The Pats and Rams Super Bowl. So neither of them end up being. They both make. It's just a weird thing. And then now, 2018, these two guys at the top of that draft. 1 and 3, and now they're on a garbage Carolina team competing with each other. I don't know how much of a competition this really is going to be. I think Baker's probably better than Darnold. I mean, you can say the Jets didn't put a lot of talent around him in Cleveland. Cleveland did have a very nice roster. But he, I see Baker as just the better quarterback. I think he'll come in with more confidence. Darnold had a shot there last year, and then things didn't work out, whether it was injuries or whatever. Now they bring in Baker, so Darnold's got to feel, his confidence has to be down. Whereas Baker's going to come out of Cleveland, and he is going to be pissed off, and he is going to be ready to go. And the cherry on top of all this, right, is the first week of the season, the Browns play at Carolina. So if I was the Browns and Jacoby Brissett, who is the likely starter now, I'd get ready for Baker to be on a lot of running on a lot of emotion right there. So, other than that, I don't have a whole lot to add to that. I guess we'll kind of see how the whole Baker thing works out in Carolina. I just wanted to get the details of it out there in case you guys hadn't seen any of it. And that's just the details as I had it right now. The first time I looked at it, it just said Baker was eating 18.8 million. I'm like, bullshit. And then a half an hour later, I checked it, and it said he was converting that to incentives based on the team's performance. So things are going to change. You still got to pass the physical, blah 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 blah. And we'll move on from there. Let me jump over here. You guys are going at it over here. Fito, I'm still not putting that comment up yet. I'm going to get to that in just a minute. Keaton, take plenty of pics of the DS bobblehead. You'll need a wide-angle lens. Yeah, I don't want to use the flash either, right? Because of glare. Not that I should talk with my hairline going back. That's why I wear hats. Lou, you need to make a video covering Laverne and Shirley open. Dude, if I could choreograph my kids to do that, believe me, if I can get them to do it, we will do that. I just can't guarantee you that I'm going to be able to get the fam to actually participate. So I will try because that's a great idea, man. Skipping over Fito's comment. Not yet. All right. What is this? Home of the Blob. You guys will have to help me out there. Anyways. Only halftime, you went night-night. Yeah, Fito, that Super Bowl, I was part. I mean, I wasn't drinking or anything, but I was definitely part of the society, dude. That that Rams Patriots Super Bowl was absolutely. I couldn't have possibly been the only one. I mean, my God, that was the worst freaking Super Bowl. Instead of, at least even when the Seahawks smashed Denver, at least there was a bunch of points scored. You go back to Buffalo getting housed by Dallas those back-to-back years. At least there were points scored. Jesus, that Rams Patriots game was just painful to watch. It's like they were trying to both of them were trying to run the veer offense or something. But anyways, that's the whole bit on Baker, right? So you see my hashtag down here for my name, hashtag Gallo is a knob, and Fito just put something up there. I'm not sure where to start with him. I think we're just going to start with him. Gallo is a knob, okay? And if anybody didn't know who I'm talking about, this is Joey Gallo. You've heard Quimby mention it. You've probably heard Sack mention it if you've listened to, especially if you listen to Baseball Brunch. I know Quimby's brought that up, brought up Joey Gallo before. I don't know if it stems from me, if they're just trying to razz me about it or whatever. I'm fine with that. Joey Gallo has, and I've ranted on my show here before about this knob. But we're going to do it again tonight because I can't anymore with this guy. He has become the sole focus of my hatred towards modern analytics with baseball, where it's all about launch angle and exit velocity, and everyone swings for the fence, and it's all or nothing. And I don't know, is it going to be over 45% of all plate appearances this year going to end in walk, with, or homer, despite all of your young people telling you there's not enough action in the game? This is the crap that you run out on the field. Joey Gallo, you're the goddamn poster child for this crap. Okay? Now, I'm going to preface this with, this is the same jackass that wants to come out and whine about the defensive shift on hitters. And defensive shift, for those that don't know, I know some of you guys aren't big baseball guys, so I'll break it down for you. Defensive shift for a left-handed hitter like Gallo, or a guy that goes up to the plate left-handed. I shudder to call him a left-handed hitter. He goes up to the plate left-handed, so what's going to happen is the second baseman is now going to go into short right field. the shortstop is going to come over onto the second base side of second base, and the third baseman is going to move up to damn near second base. Fito, yeah, no doubt. You could also get 5 infielders. But this is so, and what it's meant to do is it's meant to stop guys from getting hits who do nothing but pull the ball. Okay? Now, your good hitters, when we used to have a bunch of good hitters, if you would dare do that against a Wade Boggs, a Tony Gwynn, a Kirby Puckett, a Cal Ripken, a Don Mattingly, a Dave Winfield. I could go through dozens of guys. If you lined up in that kind of shift on a consistent basis against guys like that, they would wear you out by just slapping the ball the opposite way. And it would make you move back to your original position. Because that's what a fucking hitter does. They hit the ball where you're not as a defender. That's the point of hitting. Joey Gallo just continues to try to rip the ball through the shift. Now, this is what I do. This is what I do. And then I'm going to complain that they should outlaw the shift because I can't get hits anymore. Dude, if you laid down a bunt down the third base line, you'd get a hit. If you learn to hit the ball the opposite field, like a good hitter would, which that's what you want to get paid as, you'd be a doubles machine until they finally shifted back, and you're now you're keeping them honest. But instead, he just wants to keep trying to wail away. And what does it lead to? A whole lot of nothing for this scumbag. So here it goes. Tony Gwynn. And you guys who know who Tony Gwynn is, you might find this comparison ridiculous because it's Tony Gwynn. And I'm with you. But just hear me out here. Tony Gwynn from 1999 through 2001, the last 3 seasons that he played, injuries and whatnot played a role, but he had 698 plate appearances. Mind you, these are the last 3 years of his career. I believe ages 39, 40, and 41, where someone should be on the downswing, not having having trouble at the plate. He should have been. 698 plate appearances during those 3 seasons. He struck out a total of what? A whopping 27 times out of 698 plate appearances. That's Tony Gwynn. Okay? Again, I get it. Might not be a fair comparison. Joey Gallo, in the month of June of 2022, struck out 32 times. Yes, that dramatic pause was on purpose. 698 plate appearances for Gwynn at the end of his career over 3 seasons. Over the course of 3 seasons, he struck out 27 times. Joey Gallo, last month, struck out 32 times. This is not a guy that even plays every single day. Now, he plays most days, don't get me wrong, which that part of my anger is coming up soon, too. 5 more strikeouts in a month than Gwynn had over the final, call it season plus worth of plate appearances. It's ridiculous. But wait, there's more. Tony Gwynn struck out 434 times in his career. In his career. The last 2 full seasons that Joey Gallo played were 2018 and 2021. Full seasons. I mean, this is where he's been over 140 games played for the year. 2020, you got to throw that out because of the COVID crap. But he did have some injury issue in between. But 2018 and 2021 are the last 2 full seasons that Joey Gallo has played. When you combine that, he struck out 420 times over those 2 seasons Tony Gwynn struck out 434 times in 20 fucking years. 20 years! It took him to strike out 14 more times than Gallo did in 2. You got to be kidding me. For his career, for his career, Joey Gallo, over a 162 game stretch, the average 162 game stretch for Joey Gallo, he strikes out 228 times every 162 games. 162 games is a full baseball season if you play the entire year. So over every full season's worth of games, this schmuck strikes out 228 times. Gwynn, over every 162 game stretch, struck out 29 times. 199 strikeouts difference over the course of 162 games. Absolutely disgusting. He was not great prior to coming to New York. I hated getting him in the first place last year. I had friends of mine that tried to defend him. Some of them being knuckleheads just because he was Italian. Like I've told you guys before, just because the guy's Paisan doesn't mean he has to play for the freaking Yankees. Okay? It doesn't stop there. The guy was not good in Texas. Okay? The biggest thing that we were sold on, or people tried to sell us on with Gallo, was the modern analytics crap. Well, look at his on base percentage. Look at how many walks he draws. Look at his OPS. Look, the OPS is a good stat. And if you're over 800 on your OPS, that's pretty solid. But when your batting average is 200, you stink. I don't want to hear it. So in New York, Joey Gallo's OPS is 602. In Texas, overall, it's 802. So in New York, his OPS is 200 points lower. In Texas, his batting average was 211. Just a tick above that friggin' Mendoza line. In New York, it's 162. 3 points lower than where he sits right now at 165 for this season. In Texas, his on-base percentage overall was 336. That's nothing to write home about, guys. This is not someone that, you should be shoving down everyone's throat with, look at his OPS. 336 is not a great OPS. Or it's not a great on-base percentage. Sorry, OPS. But in New York, his on-base percentage is 290. In Texas, his slugging percentage was 497. In New York, 364. In Texas, his OPS, 833. Solid. In New York, 654. So not only was this guy a piece of shit before he came to New York, he's become an even bigger piece of shit now. And all I hear from him is him crying about the shift with his 200 and some odd strikeouts every year. Enough. Now we'll move on to the Yankees. Owners, who own this portion of the rant here. It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes them, right? You can Keenan and OPS is on base percentage plus slugging percentage. There you go, buddy. It's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes them. Every team makes them. Nobody's safe with that. It happens everywhere. What is not okay is to double down and defend said mistakes. And when you continue to run Joey Gallo out onto the field, but send down to the minors a guy like Miguel Andujar, who has busted his ass to convert from a third baseman, and not a very good defensive third baseman, to a solid defensive outfielder left field predominantly, right? He's not great, but he gets the job done out there. He's not a butcher out there. And he's got a good stick. The kid can hit. If you consistently give him at-bats, he will get back into a groove. But instead, you're giving at-bats to Joey Gallo. Why? Because he's left-handed? I don't give a shit whether you're left-handed, right-handed, switch hitter, two-way player, whatever. If you are batting 165 and you average 228 strikeouts per full season, I don't want you on my team. You are a steaming pile of shit. And enough is enough with Joey Gallo. It's time for this dude to be sent out to pasture. I don't care what the Yankees got to do. Get him out. Enough. Fito, I do not know Miguel's OPS. What I do know is he does not get enough. He doesn't get enough consistent at-bats to get himself into a groove. They called him back up. I think it was over the weekend. Yeah. And admitted, I think he had 2 hits the first game, or one. He had 1 hit and then roped one that damn near took the third baseman's hand off, and they called it an error. I get it. The guy got leather on it, but like that was a pretty rough error. The kid can hit. He just needs time. And as long as you have Gallo on the roster, you're not going to give a guy like Andujar time. The last time he got sent down, he threw a fit. I'm normally not a fan of it, but I don't blame him in this. He said, I want to be traded. Like, I'm not going to sit behind this dude who's obviously not my equal. Yeah, Gallo, talking about you again, knob. I'm not going to sit behind this guy. Get me out of here if this is what you're going to do. Just because the guy's left-handed doesn't mean he has to play. Doesn't mean he has to play every day. Do the Yankees need some left-handed help? Yes, they do. You know, Rizzo's not enough, and now Rizzo's banged up. Hicks is inconsistent as a switch hitter. They could use some left-handed help. But you don't just run this schmuck out there just because he's left-handed. Plays good defense, sure. Plays good defense. That's not enough. That's not why he was brought in from Texas. Look, if he's batting 220 to 230 and on pace for 40 home runs, you can live with that, right? Because guys like Judge and Stanton should be carrying the offense. But when this guy's batting 165 with 9 homers and 18 RBIs, and we are now halfway through the season, more than halfway through the season, it's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. And so it's time for the Yankees to own up to their mistake, bite the bullet, and move on. I would go after Benintendi. If you want to add an outfielder, you think you need another outfielder there, I would So Fito, you got me there. Is that Miguel Andujar, 268 batting average? That's 100. If that's Miguel Andujar's batting average, that's 103 points higher than where Joey Gallo's knob ass sits right now. So all of you who are following me on Facebook, all of you who follow me anywhere, get used to that hashtag. Hashtag Gallo is a knob. That's not going away. I'm going to be obnoxious with it. I'm going to push it everywhere. I'm going to push it here, wherever the hell I can, whoever the hell wants to listen. I'm tired of the guy. I'm not just tired of him with being on my team. I'm tired of him and guys like him in baseball overall. Because he's not alone with this. He's just, he's in the biggest market. And so everything he says is magnified. He's not the only one complaining about the shift and all this stuff. Guys, the shift isn't going to help if you don't make contact. Okay? Your batting average isn't just going to suddenly increase by 70 points just because there's no shift. When you strike out this many times, you're still going to stink. I don't want to hear it. Learn to hit the ball the other way, and they won't shift on you. That's it. That's it. But what's baseball going to do? They're going to take away the shift. They're going to eliminate the shift next year. They're going to make these guys play, I'm sure they'll find, teams will find some way around it to continue trying to take away hits, but they're going to eliminate the shift that I described before, and they're going to do that. I think it starts next year. So I would still send Gallo out of town. I've had enough of him. Um, that's my rant with Gallo to get that off my chest. Before I get into the next part of my disdain with baseball right now, I want to jump over here because I know the comments have been going off, and I've been ignoring you guys for a few minutes. Um, yeah, Fito, Tony effing Gwynn, the myth, the legend. Only if he was getting paid like Bobby Bonilla. That's right, everybody. Last Friday. Thank you for that, Fito. That's a smile. Last Friday, July 1st, and July 1st every year, all the way through 2035, is Bobby Bonilla Day. I don't know if all of you know what it is. I know Fito does. This is where the Mets, instead of paying Bonilla for the 2000 season, deferred his salary. I think and it would pick back up from like 2011 or whatever through 2035, and they have to pay him 1.19 million every July 1st through 2035 for a season that Bonilla never played for them. So let's go, Mets. Did Cohen realize he was paying him too? It's 1.19 million, Lou. I think that's I don't even know if that's a blip on Cohen's radar, bud. What else do we got here? Liberty, Liberty, Liberty. Oh God, yeah. Thanks, baseball dude. All right, so Mike English. Hey, there he is. Muck the Fets. Right, Mets. What does Mets stand for? My entire team sucks. There you go. The other part of the baseball disdain, and any of you who tuned in to Bud Light Baseball Brunch with Chris Sack and Greg Murphy on Sunday, you heard them talk about this as well. The 4th of July, granted, it's a Monday, and I know that that's often a day that teams get the day off, or they're traveling or whatever. However, the Phillies and the Yankees were both off on July 4th. And I'm going to tell you here in a minute why that's asinine and why baseball continues to be out of touch with what it really needs to do to gain more fans. It's not just about, let me put a pitch clock in, or let's make the bases bigger, or whatever the case may be, or outlawing the shift. It's, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure some of that stuff it will help. To me, the pitch clock is bullshit. It's more of a, hey, keep your ass in the batter's box clock, rather than getting out and doing your Texas two-step in between every freaking pitch. In 1991, what is this? Mock the Fed shirt. First time I ever saw it steakhouse. Nice. I don't think I've ever actually seen that, and I've gone to literally hundreds, and it's probably pushing 1,000 Yankee games in my life. And I've never seen that, so that's that's funny. But yeah, baseball overall, and what it doesn't understand. The 4th of July is right in the dead of summer, right in the middle of summer. There's no basketball. There's no hockey. There's no football aside from the USFL, which I don't think anyone here gives a shit about. I know I didn't. Baseball should own the 4th of July, like own it. And they should make a big deal about it. Not just with the stars and stripes uniforms and hats and stuff, but like really promote your biggest stars. And they just don't do it. And this year was a perfect example. You have the Philadelphia Phillies. It's Philadelphia on the 4th of July. The Declaration of Independence was signed in Independence Hall in Philadelphia. How the hell do you not have the Phillies playing at home that day? And don't tell me, oh, was it scheduled off? Fucking schedule it different. The Phillies need to play every single 4th of July. Every single one. And it should be a day game so that people can go and enjoy it before the fireworks and all that BS. Hell, starting at 11 a.m. or noon. Right? I mean, they do it in Boston with, I think it's Patriots Day. The Sox play at like 11 o'clock in the morning. But the Phillies, there's no question that the Phillies should be playing every single 4th of July. Every single one. And for that reason. It's really the birthplace of our, it's why we have the 4th of July. It happened in Philadelphia. And yet you don't have that city's team playing on that day. Yeah, way to go. Hop over to the Yankees. 4th of July happens to be the anniversary of Lou Gehrig's Luckiest Man speech. Think it would be pretty important to have the Yankees play a home game that day? Now, let's give them the day off too. Now, granted, the Yankees had played, I think, 20 games in a row leading up to that or something like that. But again, schedule it differently. The Yankees, look, Philadelphia is the birthplace of the country. Since 1923, the Yankees are the most successful franchise in all of sports, which obviously includes baseball. You pride yourself on being America's pastime, and you don't have your most successful overall franchise playing on America's birthday. To me, this is a problem. Both situations. And you need to fix it. I also think that the Cincinnati Reds, it should go back to them playing the first game because they were the first franchise. Now, it does annoy me a little bit with the people out here bragging about it all the time, and then only like 5 of them go to ball games. But the bottom line is, when I first moved here, that whole, the opening day parade, opening day celebration downtown Cincinnati, and now they're not the first game anymore. Right? You can have other games starting at the same time or whatever. I get it. But the Reds should kick off the season. My personal opinion. If I was Castellini when all that was going down, I would have thrown an absolute fit. But again, baseball is just out of touch with reality. The other thing they need to do on the 4th of July is market your biggest stars. The Anaheim Angels with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani should be nationally televised, right? I don't want to hear about blackout restrictions, Fox this, blah, 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 blah. Nationally televised. Make it available to everyone to see 2 of your biggest stars. You could make a case they're the 2 biggest stars in the league. Nobody fucking knows when they're playing, who they are. Baseball has made it almost impossible for people above a certain age to figure out where to watch their baseball anymore. If you don't start doing these things to market your better teams, market your stars, do things that make sense as far as your 4th of July with the Phillies and the Yankees. Hell, I mean, well, you can't have them play each other because then somebody's got to be on the road. So that doesn't work. But, I mean, those 2 teams in particular should play every 4th of July, and for the reasons I just mentioned. You get Ohtani on TV. You get the Dodgers nationally televised. Hell, have the Dodgers and the Angels play each other. It doesn't matter which stadium they're in, but put that. Then you get Mookie Betts in there too, another guy who's a massive star. That's just not marketed enough. It's upsetting and it's frustrating. And I think baseball of the major sports has the 3rd oldest average fan age, right? But it also has the fastest increasing age of average fan. So what does that tell everybody? They're not getting any younger fans. And the only way you do that is to make yourself more marketable. And the way you do that is to do these things that make sense. Baseball should own the summer holidays. Memorial Day, you do have some. You got hockey playoffs, basketball playoffs going on. I get it, but baseball's already into its season. Labor Day, you're going to have to contend with some college football, but you should still own that holiday. The Fourth of July should be no question about it. Slam dunk. Well, let's put it correctly with baseball. It should be knocked out of the park. Baseball should own that holiday. Period. And they don't. I know a lot of people will watch. It's the only thing going on. But they're not doing it. They should own it. And that should be when they're reeling more fans in, new fans. And they're not doing it. Let me jump over here. Oh, Mike English. Oh, Michael Scott, how you doing, bud? Nice jersey if Paul Cruz was available with the Carolina Panthers. Bring him in. Oh, what a clueless front office, brutal. Yeah, man. They have the former number 1 and number 3 overall picks in the 2018 draft, now competing for a starting job on their garbage roster. English, what are you following up with? The ESPN Sunday Night Baseball did do a lot of Philly 215 hype, but yeah, on the 4th, not 7-3, assholes. Exactly. That being said, they have off like 8 of the next 13. Monday, Strange, off September 2, probably for rainouts. Yeah, I mean, look, I think the people running things at Major League Baseball are just out of touch with reality. I think they're not paying attention. The analytics portion of baseball is telling these guys to just swing for home runs. It's less contact, which means less action, which means less going on. And that drives people away, right? That's where you get it's boring. Well, yeah, when there's not enough, when everybody's just sitting back waiting on a home run, and it's not a good pitching duel like we used to watch for a 2-1 ball game. Meant the pitchers were just deadly. This is just guys wailing away that can't hit the ball, and it makes for bad product. Much like the NBA, where the focus on 3-pointers. A lot of NBA basketball is bad product. You try watching a game, 3 after 3 after 3 after 3, and if the teams aren't on, it's brutal. I mean, I don't want my centers coming down. I don't want Giannis shooting, 5 to 8 3-pointers a game. I don't want Embiid doing that. It just, ugh. Even football, to a smaller extent, is paying some price for the analytics approach, where it's all been you can only hit the quarterback right here, with with your pinky, and don't knock them over, or it's a flag. It's all geared towards offense and mostly passing offense, which, if you've heard Quimby and I talk, it annoys the shit out of us, him more than me, but it still annoys me. I mean, the difference is the game's at the highest level. So baseball at the highest level is the World Series. Football at the highest level, the playoffs and the Super Bowl. You can have all the analytics approach that you want. And Fito, listen up, man, because the Yankees might be in this boat again this year. So a phrase that I use with baseball is you can slug your way to October, which is the playoffs, right? But you have to pitch your way to get the parade, the ticker tape parade. And it still holds true. These teams can just bash their way all the way through the season and get to the playoffs. But the teams that win it all, generally speaking, are your teams that pitch and play defense. Look at football. You can throw the ball all over the damn yard all year long, right? Get yourself in there. Look, Green Bay is a perfect example last year. Throw the ball all over your yard. 13-4 or 14-3, whatever the hell they were last year. Rodgers MVP again. What happened when they ran into a better playoff team? When they ran into a team that can run the ball and play defense. They had no answer for it, right? It holds true everywhere. All the modern analytics in the world can get you to the playoffs, but to win your league's trophy, it's still the sport in its purest form. Baseball's pitching and defense, some timely hitting, get them on, get them over, get them in. You have to manufacture runs, not just hit homers. Football, you've got to pound the run, play good defense, work off of play action to win your Super Bowl. That's just it's how it goes, man. English. I live in Maryland sometimes, so gotta look ahead for that. Then we have Masson this week, so we get the Nationals game. They're not bad. Team sucks. Fito, Red Sox are making a move. Nah, I don't think they have the horses, but they're gonna have to get some more pitchers in before I'll worry about them. Although I'll tell you what, our boys are not looking good right now. That loss to the Pirates last night. You can say it's a fluke all you want. They don't come out and do something about it this evening. Judge is slumping. 2 double plays last night. It's not a good scene right now. So, English, NCAA brings in them rankings. I had 3 smart TVs on my living room this year. I've got 3 downstairs in my war room, and sometimes I'll pop open the laptop to get some going on too. Although right now with just baseball going on, generally what I do is, so I've got a stand that has a 40-inch and then a smaller, like 27-inch up at the top. 40-inch gets the Yankees, 27-inch gets the Phillies, and on my main screen, the 50 or 55 or whatever it is, I've been playing Grand Theft Auto. Sometimes I like to burn shit and blow stuff up. I'm sure that comes as a surprise to nobody here. What do we got here? Fito, I need to build a war room. Yeah, absolutely, man. Although with the kids being as young as yours are, I'd kind of let that go for a while. Oh, Lou Trowbridge makes an appearance. How was the trip? My brother, we are taking the trip in 2 weeks. We go to Milwaukee. I went over it at the beginning of the show. So if you want to backtrack and check that out. That was all I had for this week. I wanted to put that link up for everybody, for whoever wanted to join in. We're going to have to save that for next week. So any of you out there listening, help me out here. So I want to start, and I talked to Fito on the phone after my show last week, and he's going to come on here at some point as soon as he's ready, he's got the time and he's comfortable. What I'd like to do is start, getting at least one person in here a week, because I can do this. I can do this for days, guys. Okay, I can talk to you for days, weeks, months, years about sports, all different kinds of sports, or whatever. But I do think it can be a lot more fun if someone each week would join me. Now, if you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. It's okay. But I'm going to start, kind of pressing for that. Much like the way I know some of you started watching Right on Cue when he launched that show, and he immediately put that link out there, and I started joining in that way. And it's kind of led to this, so it's been a lot of fun. But I Lou Dominguez joined me a couple of weeks ago on here, and it was a lot of fun. You get to bounce off each other, and we're not ignoring the room at all. So I'm that link is gonna start getting posted. I went a little bit further on my rant today than about 10 to 15 minutes more on it than I really had intended to. Mike English, is that a whale hat? Go well. It is. It is a Whalers hat. That is where am I at? Yep, right there. That's a Hartford Whalers hat. So Keenan, will I have to get dressed to appear? I would prefer it. But you do what you got to do, man. But yeah, so I want to start doing that. Okay, I'm at a place where I feel more comfortable. Initially, starting off with this, guys, I can't tell you, that first night I did this show, I was so nervous. And I'm confident in my knowledge. I'm confident in what I say. But and I'd been on Right on Cue with them. I'd been on I'd been on with Green Legion Radio on their on the pregame show before football games. So there was I mean, there was somewhat of, but this was just me. Okay. Now Sam was there to help, and I had to tag her in to kind of, help me out a little bit there to stretch out some things that I was saying. But since then, I feel like I've gotten a lot more comfortable. I very much enjoy all the interaction in the room, and I want to start bringing you guys in if you're willing to. Now I know Fito has uh has definite interest, and really what I'd like to do is bring it. I get the show going for the first 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever, and then bring somebody on to talk about something specific. So Fito's going to join at some point, not tonight, but sometime over the next few weeks, he's going to join. I'm not going to tell you. Maybe we'll tease that the week before about what some of the topics will be. But if you guys have something, that you'd like to talk about, by all means, doesn't have to be just me up here, with my notes, going through what I think is most important. I want to hear from you guys too. So if you're not comfortable coming on, by all means, drop it in comments on Facebook. Hit me up on the messenger there. Drop it in the comments here. We're getting into a time of year here where it's strictly baseball. So, you start reaching for content everywhere. And you guys are a big part of that. And so, I'm very, very appreciative of the interaction in the room. And, I look forward to more. Luke Trowbridge, great jersey. Thanks, brother. I tried to find the old one. They used to have the one from the original movie, and I couldn't find it. So still looking for that. Fito, Whiskey Hill apparel only. I tell you what, when you come on, brother, I'll put my jersey on again. All right, we'll do it that way. I like to try to mix it up. I've got a few other things I'm gonna different jerseys and stuff I'm gonna do over the next few weeks. Lou Mancini, I sing karaoke. This would be a piece of cake. It would, although it's entirely up to you. Keenan, doing a fantastic fucking job. Gilmore, keep it up. Thank you very much, man. That means the absolute world to me, dude. It really does. All of you taking the time out of your evenings to to spend an hour with me. It really does mean a lot to me. So I can't thank you enough for that. And that was all I really had for this week, man. I don't have a lot of like I said, we're getting into a slow time of year here. So content starts to get limited. I start reaching for things. We might get into something outside of sports as we go through the summer here, and just try to make it as fun as we possibly can, and to help pass the time. Right? I mean, that's what we're doing here. Right? We're bantering, we're bullshitting, we're passing the time, and we're having fun doing it. That's the idea. I'm just going through the room here. I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. I hate when I miss somebody who's been in here. That's right. There we go. Because I'm going to sign off here in just a minute here, folks. Again, I've been at it for over an hour. English, there you go. Training camp in 19 days. So there's some football on the horizon. And, I can imagine some of you probably really got into that there USFL championship game. Not for me. I gave it a try. I gave the USFL a try the first week or two, and the product was just awful. And now next year, what? So next year, in the spring, and into this time of year, we're going to have the USFL again if they're still solvent by that point, and we're going to have the XFL. So if the USFL's product was this bad, how much worse is the XFL going to get? And I know their pipe dream is to what? It's got to be to become partnered with the NFL in some way, shape, or form, become a farm system, all that sort of thing. A bigger issue they're going to have, those two leagues, in trying to, get to that stature, is the fact that these college kids are getting paid now. And you're having all this conference realignment, right? Where now USC and UCLA are going to go to the Big Ten, which just blows my mind, right? Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC. Everything is starting to shift towards having two huge conferences. And the folks that don't the teams are kind of mid teams that really don't attract much attention, they're going to get left in the dust. But these huge leagues are going to start turning into farm systems. It's just the way it's going to be with these kids getting paid. Should be interesting as we start getting closer to the college season. But with that being said, Keenan, Lou Trowbridge, Fito, English, Michael Scott, thank you guys. Thank you all, Brad. Anybody else who's out there watching, listening, who didn't chime in, I want to thank you very much for once again allowing me to entertain you on a Wednesday night. We will, tomorrow being Friday Eve, we look forward to the upcoming weekend. One step closer to that trip to Milwaukee, and getting closer and closer to they get the All-Star break coming up, and then training camp in just a few weeks. So, guys, girls, you all enjoy your evening. This is the Unhappy Gilmore Show, powered by Green Legion Radio, and I will see you all in a week. Yeah, that's about it. Y'all have a good night. All right, everybody. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.